Ready to learn how quick and easy this pumpkin is to make? Keep watching, you'll be surprised. I'm so excited to make this pumpkin with you. I know you're gonna love it. To get started, all you need is a 10-inch bolt of mesh, whether it's the metallic mesh or our fabric mesh, it doesn't really matter. And it really doesn't matter what color. You can use tan, burlap brown, whatever. But we're gonna go traditional orange today, and one of our wreath bases with the little wire already on it, so you don't have to deal with zip ties or pipe cleaners or anything like that. All right, let's get started. What we're gonna work on first is this smaller upper ring, and we're not gonna worry about the back ring right now. So I'm just gonna open up my little pine so they're ready for me to put my mesh in. And there's no cutting your mesh to get started, just open up your bolt. And what we're gonna do is with the cut raw edge, I kind of pucker it together like this. And then all I'm gonna do is tuck it under, because I want to untuck it. I want this raw edge to point towards the middle of my circle so our pumpkin will cover it up. And I'm gonna do 2 little twists, just like that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my bolt, and it's gonna go over that, because remember we wanna cover that. And I am just going to kind of gather it together. Now, you could leave it to be really poofy, but I like it to be a little tighter, especially because this is our first layer. So just a little loose loop. There's nothing exact about it. Just something, and then I do my 2 twist ties. And then I'm gonna take my mesh back over this way, and I'm gonna go with the curve of the mesh and not fight it, so I'm gonna flip it over. And I'm gonna take this one, and I'm gonna go down to the one that was right next to this, because really all we're doing is we're gonna just zigzag across the top of our wreath. And I'm gonna go like that, pull it nice and tight, kind of hold it, and twist. And then I take my mesh over to this side, right next to the pine that hasn't been used. Well, we just used that one, so we're gonna go to that one. Gonna tuck it. Now, I'm trying to keep this one wider because it's covering up the middle of our wreath. And I do my inner circle first because we're gonna cover it back up. Okay, then back over. And you're just going to do this the whole top of your wreath. Just go back and forth to the zigzagging. So I have the bottom piece of my wreath a little messy, but all it's really doing is filling the center, because we're gonna go back over it in bigger stripes and it's going to fill in that middle. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to this back wreath now, and I'm going to take my mesh just right next to it and twist that part in. Then I'm gonna take this, and now we're working, this back ring. We're not working on this one now, we're going back to this one. And I'm gonna take it over. And now this part is gonna be a little more seen, so this is kind of how you pick the size of your pumpkin. And since this is the side, I want my curve kind of going out to form the circle of the pumpkin. And then I'm gonna come up and kind of make it to make sure it looks good, because this is, we might do one more layer on top, but this part is gonna be seen. Like that, do a couple ties, bring it back over. So you're doing the same thing on the bottom, on the bottom ring as you did the top circle. And you could take these and kind of poke them in if they're sticking out now, because we're just gonna do one layer on the bottom. If you want it extra full, you can go back and forth on the bottom layer. I might do it on the top. We'll see how full this one looks. So we kind of have our first layer down. It's starting to look like a pumpkin, but it's kind of a messy pumpkin. So now we're gonna do just a slightly different counting method, and we're gonna do our final top layer to give it the finished look. So here I am at this point right here. What I want to do is I'm going to actually tuck these in because I don't think I'm going to use them again. And I just kind of stick them underneath my mesh. And what I'm going to do is I want to go right next to where I was instead of crossing. I'm going to take this pine right here, twist it, and now I'm done with it, so I'm going to kind of hide it inside. Now I'm going to take my mesh and I'm going to do that same thing I did before where I come up and I'm going to twist it in and tuck it in so the pumpkin is all kind of close together. But now instead of taking this piece directly across, I want to fill in these gaps that look like they're showing up here. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to find my pine in here, and I'm going to go this way straight to this one. And then I'm going to tuck my pine in. And basically you're just going to try to go in and we're going to go back and forth filling in any gaps that might have happened in our tucking. And see how this little piece is sticking up? So maybe I just didn't pull him tight enough. So I'm just going to put him right where I want him. And then a nice kind of clean line. Tuck, pull, twist, and then tuck those guys in because we're done with them. And then I'm gonna go right next door, filling in all these little gaps. Tuck it in. And then you go and you're gonna fluff it all like that so you can give it the shape you want your pumpkin to be. Now this spot, see I have a little plain spot right there. I'm not gonna worry about it because that's where we're gonna put our bow or our stem and our little picks that we're gonna throw in there. Tuck that in, not gonna see it anymore. And you just keep filling it in until you don't have any more mesh, and that's the end of my mesh. So what I'm gonna do again, like the beginning, I wanna make sure this raw edge is tucked inside of it. So I'm gonna come to probably here at the bottom, twist this little pine, and then tuck it in because we are done with the base of our pumpkin. And this little raw edge, I'm just gonna tuck it behind and through the middle so it stays. And then this pine, I'm just gonna tuck them in so you don't see anything. Okay, so this is what our pumpkin's gonna look like, and this part up here is where we're gonna do our stem bow. So to do our bow, I'm using a 2.5 inch green ribbon. And we're going to make just a really simple little looped bow. Something kind of like that. I like it. Okay, let's cut our ribbon off. And what we're gonna use is, I kind of like to have extra so I can make extra loops. I'm gonna go with 2 yards. And I want my tail kind of hanging down my pumpkin like that because kind of like the tendrils. And since it's such a nice wired ribbon, we can curl them so they look really cute like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make some loops. You kind of just eyeball it so it's in proportion to your pumpkin. I think that will be cute with the tendrils. And then I'm just gonna make as many loops as I can. It's not an exact thing. Remember, pumpkins are natural and wild. And so usually we get 4 or 5 loops out of it. It all depends how many loops you like. And if you like more, a bigger look, then just cut more ribbon. But it's the same thing, and then we loop it over. Nothing exact because we can just shape this how we want it, and we want it to be kind of a messy garden look. But there we go. All right. So once you have your bow kind of wadded in your hand, you're gonna we use our cloth covered bow wire so it doesn't hurt our hands. And you just make a little loop like that around the bow and through the tails. And then I just wiggle it really hard back and forth to get it really nice and tight against my bow. And then I tie a knot. Then I use this lovely wire and I am going to attach it right here onto the base of my wreath. And I just do that by taking this and making a couple knots in it. Now you can really add any kind of pick you want, whether it's leaves or berries or anything really cute. Today what I'm going to use is our orange spiral pick because I really like these. Each spiral is wired, so I can make it as loose or as tight as I want it. It's very manipulative in a good way. And so what I'm going to do is, it comes on this really long stem, and all I'm going to do is pull it off like that. And it comes on this little wire. And I am going to just kind of, there's no rhyme or reason really, pick where I like it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it around the base of my wreath like that, something nice and tight. And since it's wired, it's going to shape. And look how cute. So we're just going to add those around and puff your bow around it. And it's always good to have some things that are coming up and some that are coming down. So I'm going to rip off another one. And maybe since I loosened that one, I'll keep this one tighter, or maybe even more so I make it like it's more of a tendril. I'll loosen it even bigger so it's coming down the pumpkin more. And then I take my bow and I'm going to fluff it around the greenery, the orange and all the fun stuff. And these little leaves are really cute, so I don't want to hide them, but I do want this on that side. So you just play with it, see what you like. Everybody has a different eye and a different taste. But now you're going to pick it, then we're going to cut our tails. There's angle tails, V tails, straight tails. I like the V angle cut. So I just kind of fold it in half, starting at the fold. I go towards my cut edges. Just kind of the last little touches. Take this, start at the fold so I get a V and not an arrow. And then, oh, I missed that little tail, so I just cut it again. What we're gonna do is I think one of the most important parts is fray check your ribbon, because it will always look like a fresh sealed cut. You just kind of poke a hole in your fray check and you dab it on the edges of your ribbons. It will look a little wet, but it dries clear, and that way your wreath will always look fresh and new for years to come. Oh my goodness, look how cute that is. Look how easy that really was. You know, not a whole lot of cutting. All you needed to cut was your piece of ribbon to do your bow. No extra wiring. You did. I'm sure your pumpkin is just beautiful. If you want to share a picture with us, we love to see what you create because we get inspired by you. We hope you inspire us. You know, we're a family and we need to help each other. So post on our Instagram, Designer DIY Shop, our Facebook. We really love to see your creations. If you have any questions, come visit us. And of course, all of our materials are on our website, designerdiy.shop. Subscribe to our channel because we try to add so many fun tutorials of all different kinds of craft, because crafting is my therapy and I love it, and I hope it brings a little joy to you. Great job on your pumpkin. We'll see you next time.